All right.
So,
Ladies and gentlemen, it's 4 o'clock. Welcome to the Writer House 2016 100,000 Poets for Change global event. Woo-hoo. Yes. Yes, bring it back. Each of you for showing up and being present and participating in this amazing day. Around the world, there are over 500 events occurring on the date of September 24th in global solidarity. Artists, musicians, writers, performing artists, the mimes are back in Cairo. There's an aerial artist in California. The event, which began 6 years ago with an email invitation to poets in 90 countries, has continued to grow and expand. It's considered by Stanford University the world's largest poetry event in history. And it also skyward, sun, moon, stars, whatever word you might use in your own language, and say thank you for this infinite mystery that has brought us all together today. Look how many, many different cultures are represented today. So we thank for the inspiration and that creative fire that has brought us together and that keeps us writing and singing and dancing. And again, just for a moment together, can we be in agreement to focus and say thank you to all the aspects of life that support us, the plants, the animals who nourish us, sun, rain, stars at night. I'd like to also thank Michael Rothenberg and Terry Carrion for their inspiration to initiate this event 6 years ago, to have the courage to send that first email out to poets in 90 countries inviting them to locally coordinate an event. And here we are today. And let's thank also all the animal species that we share this planet with. And also, I'll invite you to say thank you to water. It's so fundamental to life. This is water that has come from over 350 different sources. It's been blessed in numerous ceremonies. I'm going to pass the jar around. You're not obligated to do anything but pass it on if that's what you want to do. If you'd like to take a moment and just whatever silent thank yous or blessings you would like to give to the water, I will pass it around, and I will be using it in further ceremonies and giving it back to Earth. Some of it will be going to a ceremony that's happening in October with one of the Council of the 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, Grandmother Flor de Mayo, who's not able to travel anymore. So thank you, water. And I thank each of you for your presence. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mariana Dunn.
Okay, I'm reading in solidarity with Granada, Spain, and Tukwila, Washington. And my first poem is an original. I'm going to read one original and one by Sherman Alexie. I'm reading the original first, so I won't have to come after Sherman Alexie. This poem is called Response. Shove thick, sharp needles into our veins. We would like to bleed for you. We would like to open up our arms and give of our very bodies into yours. What else can we do for you? The sidewalks cannot contain us, or our flowers, cannot contain our teddy bears, our candles, or our prayers. Shall we tear down our buildings and raise them up again for you? Write your names on scraps of paper pushed into the diamond spaces of hurricane fences? Corey, Pathahi, Rachel, Kyle, Grace, Dianca, Javier, Chase, Mohammed, Kimberly, Lola, Shane, John Carlos, Dylan, Amber, Dawn. Our fences cannot contain all your names. We'll create trust for you, build monuments of steel for you. What else can we do for you? We'll shout each other down for you, ban all that we can for you, do anything but change for you. June 2016. The names are from the Oklahoma City bombing, Columbine, Sandy Hook, and Orlando. I couldn't fit in all the names. I pulled them all up. This is called Sonnet with Pride by Sherman Alexie. 1. In 2003, during the Iraq War, a pride of lions escaped from the Baghdad Zoo during an American bombing raid. 2. Confused, injured, unexpectedly free, the lions roamed the streets, searching for food and safety. 3. For just a moment, imagine yourself as an Iraqi living in Baghdad. You are running for cover as U.S. bombers like metal pterodactyls roar overhead. You are running for cover as some of your fellow citizens, armed and angry, fire rifles, rocket launchers, and mortars into the sky. You are running for cover as people are dying all around you. It's war, war, war. And then you turn a corner and see a pride of freaking lions advancing on you. 4. Now, imagine yourself a lion that has never been on a hunt, that has never walked outside of a cage, that has been coddled and fed all of its life, and now your world is exploding all around you. It is war, war, war. And then you turn a corner and see a pride of freaking tanks advancing on you. 5. It's okay to laugh. You knew you were laughing. It's always okay to laugh at tragedy. If lions are capable of laughter, then I'm positive those Baghdad lions were laughing at their predicament. As they watched the city burn and collapse, I'm sure a lion has turned to a lion and said, "So, do you still think you're the king of the jungle?" 6. I don't know if the lions killed anybody as they roamed the streets. 7. But I guess they were too afraid. I'm sure they could only see humans as zookeepers, not food. 8. In any case, the starving lions were eventually shot and killed by U.S. soldiers on patrol. 9. It's a sad and terrible story, yes, but it's war, and war is everywhere. And everywhere there are prides of starving lions wandering the street. There are prides of starving lions wandering inside your hearts. 10. You might think that I'm using starving lions as a metaphor for homeless folks, but I'm not. Homeless folks have been used far too often as targets for metaphors. I'm using those starving lions as a simple metaphor for hunger. All of our hunger. 11. Food hunger, love hunger, faith hunger, soul hunger. 12. Who among us has not been hungry? Who among us has not been vulnerable? Who among us has not been a starving lion? Who among us has not been a prey animal? Who among us has not been a predator? 13. They say God created humans in God's image. But what if God also created lions in God's image? What if God created hunger in God's image? What if God is hunger? Tell me, how do you pray to hunger? How do you ask for hunger's blessing? How will hunger teach you to forgive? How will hunger teach you how to love? 14. Look out the window. It's all hunger and war, hunger and war, hunger and war, and the endless pride of lions.
Thank you, Mariana and Sherman.
This first poem is all about change. When I stopped to think about it, almost all the stories my mother read to me when I was very small, before I could read myself, were about change, whether it was Elves and the Shoemaker, or Jack and the Beanstalk, or Cinderella, one after another. The stories all open up the possibility that the rabble can somehow rise out of their chimney corners and widowhood and orphan state and somehow become go into what they were meant to be, I guess. This is based on, plays with the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. It's called This is the Place. And I want you to think of this as being a place, right here, right now. This is the place where you have the choice of swapping your sacred cow, whatever it is, control, success, office, wealth, for nothing more than seeds of belief in yourself. This is the place where you meet a stranger who somehow helps you believe it's worth taking a risk. This is the place where you trade your cow not for the money your mother desired, but for seeds that allow you to climb higher than her timid hopes ever aspired. This is the place where, as much as you love her, you leave your mother behind. This is the place where your culture, in disgust at your failure to meet expectations, opens the window and tosses out the seeds of the unknown, everything you might become. This is a place where those seeds sprout, here tonight, where your courage, your cleverness, your talent, your quick wit touch the soil and take root. This is the place they didn't teach you about in school, a place above the clouds of culture, filled with giants and booming voices, terrors and stolen treasure. This is the place where you're on your own, a place of dread, hunkered in a giant's oven. Your bones could become his bread. This is the place where tyranny is near and real, bent on consuming you. This is the place where you take back all the wealth you were meant to inherit, stolen from your father by those in power. This is the place where you take an axe to taboos and lies and illegal laws, wrong expectations, miseducation, misinformation, and indoctrination. This is the time and place where the giant falls. The second poem is called Be Practical. So much that passes for good advice forms a tiny box with a label, "Be practical." As small as it is, you can stuff your whole life in it. That's considered intelligent. Stupid is anything else. At bottom, this practicality is all about safety and money. They're indistinguishable, really. You're encouraged to worry continually in pursuit of a receding future free from worry. Wisdom boils down to money management. Education is simply an investment. So is the place you live. Work becomes a career, leading to secure retirement. Love takes the form of insurance. You can't buy too much to protect your health, your house, your car, your kids, your wife, your life. Anything else is impractical. And yet, there are those whose practicality takes other forms, opens rather than contains. They speak of and commit themselves to practice, trace it to its root in the miraculous. What could be more practical than that? Is aiming to allow yourself to be removed from the center of the picture so very foolish? To surrender rather than conquer? To combine action with contemplation? To practice reverence toward whatever name you use to signify the nameless? To love others and earth through your practice as monks and astronomers, mechanics and healers, gardeners and gatherers, nuns and singers, potters and farmers, painters and carpenters, masons and dancers, pupils and masters, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, friends and neighbors.
Our next reader is William Vollrath.
Hi.
I'm reading in solidarity with Bora, Bangladesh, and New York City.
All right.
Bora.
So we're at Public Library.
I write short poems. They take about a minute to read, so I'm probably going to read about 4 or 5
That's
poems. And most of them touch on the topic of change. The first one is a seasonal poem called Apple. Apple ripens wondrously at the perfect rate to realize its myriad potentials, sweet or tart, red, green, or yellow, reaching maturity, embraced by sun and air, only to be plucked from its lofty cradle, protective seal peeled away, cool juices drained, golden meat consumed, until only the core remains, the apple's essence, born from a season of growth, then decay, sweet quintessence, tart stimulation, crafted over time, the apple generously gives seeds for a budding tomorrow. This next poem is a reflection on our connection with ancient civilizations, and it was inspired by the 5,000-year-old Chinese jade discs that are at the Smithsonian. I don't know if any of you have seen those. They're really incredible. There's a whole entire room of these 5,000-year-old beautifully crafted jade Chinese discs. This is called Jade Bee at the Freer Gallery. An entire room of beautifully cut and ground Chinese jade discs reaching to us from across 5,000 years. Mysterious communications from our emerging civilization. If truth is simple, might these objects answer a great mystery? Suggest the secret to our sacred cycle of birth and death and birth? Mandela-like, they speak of a continuous journey through sorrow and joy, dark and light, need and enlightenment. They speak of a powerful energy burning at the core of our cosmic and spiritual journey. Look even closer. One may find inscribed on the disk's surface a tiny human figure, frightened but hopeful that their unique life journey mostly goes well. This one is pretty self-explanatory. It's called Living Fires. Fertile cauldrons of vital, renewing energy planted deep in the impenetrable dark. Cosmic nourishment radiating from the eternal yesterday and tomorrow. Dormant in our evolving now. Fuel from beyond, life's power, death's promise, all gloriously manifest in the vast, vibrant universe, in each and every sacred, tiny, living cell. This poem is a comment on the ancient question of whether illumination comes gradually or immediately in a sudden process. It's called the switch. The switch must exist on a wall somewhere, usually near a door. Darkness is such a problem, causing one to stumble over bulky furniture or fall down seemingly bottomless holes. Maybe it is hidden inside my head, just beneath the surface, somewhere between the eyes. Really bright light would be great in so many ways. I just need more time looking. Perhaps the switch was replaced by a circular dimmer, making illumination more gradual, not just on or off. Dan, it has to be here somewhere.
That's great.
My last poem,
Greece and Reno, Nevada. All right. This first one I wrote, I'm just going to read two. This first one I wrote in response to the Dakota pipeline protests. And I was just a little surprised that I hadn't seen anything on the news, and I was finding this out from my Western friends. And so this is called Dakota. While I appreciate the honesty and the truth of people's words, there is some danger in the anger when I review what I have heard. News media is selecting battles that bewitch the public eye, while our natives wrestle with their lives in a silenced battle cry. Should someone tumble our monuments and relics of the past, we'd surely get atop the issue and squash the perpetrator fast. They who as they say no propaganda exists, that only foreign bodies manipulate the citizens in their midst. Yet no channel on the television shows me what persists of Indian nations fighting our land's war alone, as the remaining majority chooses to desist.
I didn't see you over there.
There we go. Okay, in solidarity with Perizaj, Kosovo, and Paz San Nicolas Cambio. Okay. Now, I'm going to read three poems, and I've been writing some poems to my granddaughter who's not yet born, so I've been doing a series of poems. And I'm also going to read a poem by Pablo Neruda, who wrote a particular poem in 1948 when I was born. So there's a kind of connection there, okay? So my first poem is about my daughter, and it's called Sara's Garden. Sara is a friend of ours, and we went to see her, okay, and to read some poetry with her. So Sara's Garden for my granddaughter. 5 hummingbird feeders hung along the eaves of Sara's back deck. 5 red plastic flowers for sipping. 12 hummingbirds darted by our heads, disturbed, drawing crisscrossing shapes before us. Some, suspended in the stormy air, watched us as we talked, their calls tiny as the buzz of bees, beaks sharp, wings whirring, the male's ruby throats lighting up the dusk, until, unable to pull us away, they flew to their high nests as if reeled up on long strings. Then we saw in terror, as through a microscope, their dinosaur fierceness as they dove inches by our raised head, pair down for the sweet nectar. While you curl there, waiting for birth, not knowing yet the summer storms, hummingbirds, evenings of poetry, the sights and flights we'll see.
Oaxaca, Mexico. Am I pronouncing that correctly? A frog in my throat and I are having a skirmish, and the frog is ahead.
Would you like some water?
It's okay. Frogs are good in water. About 10 years ago, a man in Pittsburgh set out and systematically executed about 8 people of varying ethnicities, absolute strangers, shot them one by one. This is called Pittsburgh Fathers and Sons. There was a time when mill smoke darkened Pittsburgh skies. Everyone came from somewhere else. Jablonskis, Pontanos, Steins, and O'Rourke's lived side by side on hills, in hollows, cloaked in red-black smoke, not in fairy tale harmony, but they got along. Fathers then were steel mill strong, insisted that their sons be too, expected them to stand and fight when taunted by some local bully with a slightly different nose or skin. They pick on you, give it to them substantial. The father's only creed, not what the church would teach, but it kept the neighborhood at peace. That's what fathers taught their sons under darkened industrial skies. The results should not surprise. Bruises, black eyes, wounded pride. Sons took their knocks, no sissies on their block. Ethnic cleansing then meant little more than differences on wash days. In this brightening new millennium, the skies are light. Computers hum, but now the father's sons settle scores with guns. Lifeless bodies bleed on streets. Grieving families deal with death, not pride, as in an earlier time. Deadly feuds without an end. That's just how it plays out, my friend. News shows repeat, repeat. In our enlightened nation, mills no longer churn out soot, but we are darkening within. Somehow we got the notion that disagreements cannot linger. They must be ended with a bang, not a whimper, with a trigger finger on a gun in the hand of some man's son. An ugly element's been added to a grossly simplified expression. Now, if you're not equal, you can balance the equation by adding a Glock or 38 to your side of the not equal sign. In this strange new math, grim in its simplicity, one man plus gun equals anyone. Rough and tall, weak and small, one size fits all. The only muscle needed is enough to pull the trigger. It will continue without end, as long as we believe guns will make us safer. Yeah, safer bets to be the butt of some pipsqueak emboldened punk, or some man mountain crazed and drunk. A few have turned the Bill of Rights into a fearful bill of wrongs. On hillside resting places all over town, north side, south side, those who came from somewhere else and those who came from here sleep side by side.
Thank you. This is blind. Let's try another
That's
one.
It's for everybody in the world.
I'm reading in solidarity with Genova, Italy, and Racine, Wisconsin. I hope I pronounced those right.
Racing.
Racine.
Racing.
Rio Ryle.
Stanton,
Scotland.
Real bio.
That's right. I think we are ready for a break. Thinking large, I put my priorities out there. With thanks to Gene Rader, geologist, Jerry Kruger, writing critique partner, and the Washington Post reporters, Dan Sack. Climate change. Geologists are debating whether Earth has arrived at a new epoch, the Anthropocene of the Quaternary period of the Sinoic era. Science provides a structure by which to organize unfathomable ages. Accordingly, if it's agreed that we are in the Anthropocene, human civilization with intelligence and verve will have cut short the Holocene by a few million years. Skies laden with carbon emissions, oceans warming, forests fading, mining and drilling of carboniferous rock could make our impact on the planet brief but brilliant. The imprint of our lives, if any can be found, may be viewed one day as interesting fossils by beings who emerge to welcome the next epoch. The next poem is related to that. It's called Nuclear Exchange. Thinking large. 14 countries are up to date with 150,000 nuclear warheads. U.S., U.K., China, Russia, France have promised non-proliferation. And to assure the balance, up to the minute and strategically place non-nuclear countries, the Netherlands, Turkey, Germany, and many others, host warheads on their soil. And then there's North Korea, Pakistan, Israel, India. Who gets to decide when to throw the first rock? Or what to do, or what is to be done with the reckless, the hateful, the show-offs, and the bullies? Certainly not a poet. Yet I yearn for proliferation of all our imaginations with the energy of fusion and vision to create a reality of what could better be
exchange.
Love the pants, Sara.
Well, this is only appropriate because I can, with my pants, I can be in solidarity with Cologne, Bhutan, and Vienna, Austria. I'm going to be reading from Two Little Girls in a Wading Pool, and I have a section in that called Shadow Lines, and it's my war poetry section. So, considering we're looking for justice today, I'm going to read one of those poems, and then I've got two small new things. Title of this poem is Undergarments. Under your mandated garments, do you breathe differently now? A hurried, hot breath of freedom? What say you under your nagab? Do you speak differently now? Say you words of protest that no one can see, but only a close, safe few can hear. Would you speak louder under a new regime? Do you feel secure that no one can see your anticipation? Or see your smiles of impending joy? Or see your face relax from some removal of threats? Under the garments of your life, no one can tell what class of citizen you are to become. A promotion from second class. What does it mean to be so emboldened? But then who will see the new you emerging under layers of cloth designed to conceal? With the coming changes in your nation, what say you under your burqa? Kimar, Chador, Dupatta, Abaya. What steps will you take in your path to freedom that all can see? Exposed in your new freedom, but under your garments of tradition, what changes will you accept? Will your veils feel the same? Or will they feel lighter somehow, lifted by newly won rights? Will the new garments be stitched from the threads of Sharia, entwined with threads of democracy? A new design will emerge, the emblem of women's rights, and no one will be able to tell under your garments how savvy you are. Through the window of your cover, will you see for the first time that everything is beautiful? Or will all things you see be as they are? Oh. This is a poem that was inspired by the obituary of Rudolf Braze, 98, one of the last known survivors of those sent to Nazi concentration camps because they were homosexual. On his wooden plank bed, shared with molding hayfield ticking and scrawny rats, he remembered it had been years since the big deportation. The tattered pink triangle on the gauze-thin uniform still burned like the brand it was. He starved and waited a painful wait with famished muscles tensed constantly in fear of nightly visits by those who used steel rods to enforce their brutality just a little more viciously. He could see sometimes moonlight through small chinks in the concrete walls, and he cried inside as he saw more of his kind die at the quarries doing work fit for no man. When he knew he was spared, he asked, "Why was I saved? Who dared show me kindness?" He found a way out, avoided the death march, lucky that freedom found him when he had just enough strength to open a door. He began a love in his remaining years that lasted until his age of 98. Memories of his horror faded or hidden by joys he had found in a good life, in which he once told someone that being gay was a gift from God.
Here they in Armenia and Shepherdstown, West Virginia. My physicist friend in San Diego will be very happy about Armenia. What you say about that? Here we go. Then she cut. which is now a top for all of us. The Crow Nation came singing to the place of standing rocks, place where the Missouri runs Brae, singing into camp where Lakota met them, who were yesterday were traitors, welcoming friends to the fire. And the Pawnee, this time, the horse dealers brought Mustangs. The children of Mauna Loa portaged their outriggers. The Zapotec teach resistance. 200 nations. How do you say that in Quechua or Nahuatl? Mohawks, the Skywalkers who raised steel and built New York. First Nation, the Lenape on Long Island. Haudenosaunee, you know them as the Five Nations, and their little brother, the Tuscarora. The Longhouse still sends runners out. Why do you think we are the vanished? This country is so very young, and these people, the people, have been here for 10,000 years.
Okay, I don't know how to say the first one. I'm reading in solidarity with Trig Tumas Finch, Malta, and Sheboygan, Wisconsin. I'm just reading one poem, and I thought it was appropriate to read because it's really about perception, about what poetry can do. And we're here gathered, to kind of in solidarity to point out a few problems with things. And I think poetry is a great way to speak to problems and speak to power. And this is a poem from a new collection I'm working on, and all the poems in the collection appear in multiple ways. So the same poem will be written in different ways, but it'll all have the same title, if that makes any sense. This poem is called Stargazing on Fire Mountain. Some moments in real life say real life isn't real by shouting the fabrications and the double-talking patterns, or by turning into percussive pigeons or flooded plains. It's not that they're anomalous. It's not that they possess an aura or mystique. Once you've left behind what can be sensed, there are projections.
I like this. It's very nice to do this.
Thank you.
I'm reading in solidarity with Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Waco, Texas. I'm reading 3 short poems. I'll make a comment just on the first one. Almost 3 weeks ago, I was in Eastern Europe, and this first poem is about terrorism, Czechoslovakia. Well, it's not Czechoslovakia anymore, it's the Czech Republic. I'm not speaking loud enough, sorry. Where I visited. Terrorism was converted from an old town during World War II into a Jewish ghetto and prison camp. Yellow stars. North in Czechoslovakia, mountains rise, rivers froth and roar. Come to Terezin, walk its mossy paths, breathe its now air. 75 years past, a single breath in time. Enter empty rooms, 3-level bed frames line the walls. Ceilings still open to the sky. Stand in cells. Doors on bent hinges, corroded manacles fixed to walls. Stories of a bricked space make its air shriek. Step away, breathe again, the now air. This one's vanishing. Was it last week I boarded a plane in Botswana? Zebras on the runway, hot as hell. Lifted up from hippo ponds, carried past lilac-breasted rollers. Today I'm back home, to snow on the ground, bean soup bubbling on the stove. Of every savannah glory, I'm still spellbound by the cheetah's stare. Head bobbing like a compass point, padded gait of a nimble stalker. These slender cats of highway speed, spotted skin, rudder tails, they are finite. They are retreating into shiny pages on bookshelves where almost all rhinoceros live.
Okay, I am here today in solidarity with Bucharest, Romania, and Berlin, Brazil. So I thought about what I could do to bring the subject of global change to you people. And I came up with a song from a Broadway show and also a poem, both about changing the globe one person at a time. And so the song that I thought would be appropriate is You've Got to Be Taught from South Pacific. And I will do that for you. You've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are oddly made and people whose skin is a different shade. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you are 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all the people your relatives hate. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be carefully taught. Now, this poem is one that I was chosen to read when I was in the 6th grade by my 6th grade teacher, and it impressed me then. I found it now on the internet, and I thought it would be appropriate for changing the globe one person at a time. And it's a poem called I Am a Child, and it was written by someone named Mamie Jean Cole. I am a child. All the world waits for my coming. All the earth watches with interest to see what I shall become. Civilization hangs in the balance. For what I am, the world of tomorrow will be. I am a child. I have come into your world about which I know nothing. Why I came, I know not. How I came, I know not. I am curious. I am interested. I am a child. You hold in your hand my destiny. You determine largely whether I shall succeed or fail. Give me, I pray you, those things which make for happiness. Train me, I beg you, that I may be a blessing to the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelly. Sigrid, Mirabella.
Last year, I forgot to pick. I don't know.
It's right in the middle of the front table.
It's been a long year.
I'm reading in solidarity with Bellington, Australia, and San Ignazio, Belize. Hi, everybody. I'm going to be reading 3 poems. Seems to be the thing of the day. This is called Somewhere Thousands Die, and I heard the news today and wept, not for anything specifically, just all that was said. Thousands dead somewhere, here in America, Timbuktu, or a similar sounding foreign word. Does it matter? I don't know where for sure. The amount killed or caused. Each death, more than a number, location or opportunity to ponder environmental justification or reason the manner of man. Deaths reported as mass don't count as individuals, as those who have spoken and moved separately, held thoughts, bore unique names, affected others, changed the world. Where do they fall in the numbers? 42 or 600? Higher? Lower? Between? Who was number 1? Male or female? Straight or gay? Transgender? Was one an infant learning to speak? Or middle-aged and balding? Old? Healthy? Or facing chemotherapy? I turn the news off, wipe my tears for all the numbers media reports have blurred into nothing more than good disaster stories. Then my unruly ego reminds me of who I am and how important I am to me. Even if I am a good disaster for a news report recounting one tragedy that happened to some nameless people I was with, someplace called here.
Reading is Caroline Brae, and I stand in solidarity with Coco Pampa, Bolivia, and Ontario, Canada. First poem I'd like to share with you that I was inspired by a gentleman who served multiple terms of tours of duty in Afghanistan and Iraq, and so I dedicate this to him and to my uncle who served in Vietnam, and to all veterans and anyone who is struggling with post-traumatic stress. Called Resurgence. You cook, but don't eat, starving yourself of the warmth provided by hot, nurturing food prepared by loving hands. Hands that cared long and hard for those beaten down in the path, searching for justice where there is none, fighting to protect others from the unseen, trying to make this place we call home a better, safer place for your children, for others, for the future, for now. Wars seem to last longer, an endless fight with no clear, dividing line of safe borders. The enemy, a constant moving target, and unknown lands and hidden places, until they strike unexpectedly, the innocent ones, the ones unprotected. No armor or arms to rise up to stop the violence or hatred. Those of one God detest any other, not recognizing we are all God's children, put on this earth to do good deeds, not to harm others on this earth. War does not bring peace. It does not cleanse our hearts or minds. Destruction lingers long after the damage is done. If only you could see yourself as I do. slowly roasting warmth and flavor back into your life.
I'm reading in solidarity with my oppressed brothers and sisters from Zenica, Bosnia, and Cairo, Egypt. You may be familiar with Gil Scott-Heron. He did a spoken word piece in the 60s. It was called "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." And he had a band behind him. It was cool. And I think, well, that was 50 years ago. It's about time for an update. So this is "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised 2016. The revolution will not be sponsored by Bud Light, Taco Bell, or Toyota. It will not be back after these important commercial messages. It will not be out next week on Netflix, streaming in high definition starring Kevin Spacey. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not have six-pack abs and Botox smiles and whiter teeth and fresher breath. It will not have more taste and be less filling so you can lose weight, have sex like a porn star, and get your own reality show, because the revolution will not be televised, brother. The revolution has nothing to do with Harry Potter, the Hunger Games, and Marvel freaking comics. And it will not be the official revolution of NASCAR and the New York Yankees. It will not keep up with the Kardashians, be the next American Idol, or hang with Oprah, because the revolution is not on TV, my friend. The revolution I'm talking about is not going to have a photo op with Hillary and the Donald. It's not going to